Hyundai just released the 2025 model year packaging and pricing guide for its popular compact sedan, the Hyundai Elantra. And despite the vehicle just going through a refresh for 2024, there are going to be some major changes to the lineup for 2025, including an all-new trim level for the hybrid lineup, different naming for the trim lineup in the gas Elantras, and some tweaks to the features and packaging across the board, including some discontinuation of popular features that I found very, class leading and or class exclusive on that top most fully loaded limited model. So in this video, I'm gonna run through both the gasoline powered Elantras as well as the hybrid lineup, tell you exactly what is gonna be changing within every trim level across the board, and then of course cover the exact pricing information for the Elantra gas, the hybrid, as well as the high performance N variant, just so you guys get a complete understanding of what is changing for 2025. So as usual, I do want to put a disclaimer out there in that I created this list of similarities and differences using the order guide to the best of my ability. If you believe anything is incorrect or just need additional clarification, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section. I will do my best to answer them. These should be arriving on dealership lots in the not so distant future. And also I highly encourage you guys to check out HyundaiUSA.com once the build and price tool goes live, as that is an extremely helpful tool. Now, anyways, starting out with the gasoline internal combustion powered Elantras, it's going to be remaining available in the same amount of trim levels, although the standard SEL is now renamed SEL Sport, and the rest of the lineup does carry over. So it's going to go from base SE, SEL Sport, SEL Convenience, N line, and that fully loaded limited model. And starting out with the entry-level base SE, this is actually one of the only ones that gets absolutely zero changes for 2025 versus that of an equivalent 2024 model year. So if you're looking at a base SE, that is going to be an exact carryover. Now, moving on to that SEL Sport model, this one actually received some significant changes to its packaging, some for the better, some definitely for the worse. So the big things to note about the SEL Sport is it's getting some sporty design elements borrowed from not only that of the convenience package, but also that of the N line, believe it or not. So the SEL Sport now gets the 17-inch alloy wheels borrowed from the SEL Convenience and the Limited for 2024. It gets the gloss black rear lip spoiler on the trunk lid that is directly from the N line models, as well as the black side mirror caps, again, borrowed from the N line models. It also gets leather wrap steering wheel shift knob, aluminum sport pedals, wireless charging pad, as well as a all black headliner no matter which interior color you do pick. So those are going to be all of the new or different features for 2025. Now in terms of the features it's actually losing for 2025 versus that of 24, it's not going to have Blue Link capability. It's not going to have either of the 10.25-inch infotainment or digital gauge cluster, and it's not going to have Sirius XM radio capability either. So it is actually getting the standard smaller 8-inch display audio with the 6-speaker. It does mean it gets wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay because it doesn't have that 10.25-inch screen, which, as we know, was one of the limitations over the last many years within the Hyundai lineup for wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So sure, it's getting wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but the fact that it is losing the nicer, larger screens is a little bit of a bummer, again, considering this vehicle just went through a refresh for 2024. Next, moving on to the convenience package. Well, this is becoming its own standalone trim level for 2025, like that of pretty much every other Hyundai model, where they've kind of just renamed it. It was formerly an add-on package on the SEL, where now it's just a standalone trim level. The convenience package doesn't get too many changes, but most notably, this is going to be the cheapest model within the Elantra's lineup to gain Blue Link services. So it comes with Blue Link Plus, the 10.25-inch infotainment system with wired Android Auto Apple CarPlay, as well as the 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster behind the steering wheel. And then the convenience package deletes the rear lip spoiler as well as the aluminum sport pedals that will be found on that SEL Sport, which means it'll look pretty similar to that of a 2024 SEL Convenience on the exterior. Next, moving on to the N-line trim level. This is another trim that I was unable to find any significant or feature differences versus that of 2024. So this one appears to be a carryover model as well. And then finally, coming on to the most fully loaded Elantra Limited, this is one of the biggest disappointments, I will say, within the Elantra's lineup and some of these changes that they're making for 2025, given that they are getting rid of, a handful of features like that of the standard SEL. So the Limited now is losing the surround view monitor system, the blind spot view monitor, The parking distance or the parking sensors for both the front and the back are no longer going to be available. And then it lists dark chrome exterior on the order guide as being crossed out, but I don't think for 2024 it had the dark chrome. That was a pre-refresh thing that the Limited did have, so I don't think that is going to be changing. But overall, the fact that the 360 camera system as well as the front and rear parking sensors are going away just after this vehicle had a mid-cycle refresh is a little bit interesting in the way that they're doing that and changing up the overall packaging. But luckily, a lot of the other features are still remaining as a carryover. So you get the leatherette H-Tex on the inside, power driver seat, auto dimming interior rearview mirror, the ambient LED interior lighting, Bose premium audio system, highway drive assist, as well as Hyundai Digital Key 2.0 touch for iOS as well as Android compatible devices. So now with all that information in mind, you guys are probably most interested about the pricing. In terms of, I guess before we get into pricing, let's go ahead and quickly cover the color palette lineup because there is one big change, although most people won't see a change at your average local dealership. The only change in terms of the exterior color palette is the fact that exotic green for the N-line trim only is no longer going to be available. Now, this color, if you either bought one of these cars or saw one in person at least at a dealership, call yourself extremely lucky because this color and this vehicle and this trim level in the future, not that it's going to be a desirable or highly sought after vehicle, but I think they literally probably imported only a couple dozen of these in that color if I had to guess. It could be even less than 100 vehicles total were imported at least into the US in exotic green. I would love to see that actual figure posted somewhere in the future. Now coming to that pricing for the standard Elantra gasoline powered lineup, starting out with the SE, this is now going to start at $23,025 including destination, which is a $400 increase over 2024. The SEL Sport now comes in at $24,150, and this is a decrease of $425 over an equivalent SEL. SEL Convenience is now going to be $26,725. This is again a $400 increase. The N-Line is now $29,875, which is a $410 increase. And finally, the Limited is going to be $27,675, including destination. And this represents a $390 decrease. So a little bit of a mixed bag. You can see some went up about $400, some went down about $400. And I have to say the ones that went down $400 are the ones that are obviously getting stripped of some nice equipment. Interesting to see that there's only or less than a $1,000 price difference between SEL Convenience and a Limited. I think at that point you might as well opt for the Limited trim level despite the changes that they made for 2025. I think you are getting a lot of equipment and a lot of value in terms of its feature set for, $950. But that's just me, my opinion. Now let's go ahead and move into the Elantra Hybrid lineup, which sees an all-new trim level to the lineup, very similar to that of the, SEL Sport found on the gas side of things. So the Elantra Hybrid is going to be offered in a blue SEL Sport and Limited trim. Two of those were available for 2024. The SEL Sport is the new one. Starting with the blue trim level, I was only able to find one notable change in terms of its feature set. In terms of, I guess, new features being added, there are some taken away. It is getting, according to the order guide, heated outside mirrors as standard. That was formerly only on the Limited for the hybrid side of things, given they didn't offer that middle SEL Sport trim. So great to see that every hybrid Elantra appears to have heated mirrors for 2025. And unfortunately, it is now losing the 10.25 inch infotainment system as well as the 10.25 inch digital cluster behind the steering wheel. It is also losing BlueLink Plus with the integrated Wi-Fi hotspot services. So those three things, just like that of the gasoline-powered SEL, are no longer going to be offered on the cheapest entry-level hybrid. Now moving on to the SEL Sport, this is a brand new trim level, borrows a lot of the same styling and design characteristics as that of the gas one that I just mentioned. So it's going to have the 17-inch alloy wheels, the same black trunk spoiler as the N-Line, black side mirrors, black headliner. It is getting the leather-wrapped steering wheel on the inside with the aluminum sport pedals. It is also getting the 10.25 inch screen for both the built-in head unit as well as the instrument cluster with built-in navigation, which is cool to see. Dynamic voice recognition, BlueLink Plus connected car services, as well as a wireless charging pad on the inside. Now, some of these things were formerly you had to get the fully loaded limited hybrid to get, such as wireless charging, dynamic voice recognition, as well as the leather wrapped steering wheel and 17-inch alloy wheels. So these will be available in a slightly cheaper form factor for 2025 if you are interested in those. But outside of that, pretty similar to that of the gasoline-powered Elantra, so no big surprises there. Now moving on to the Hybrid Limited, again, we are losing a feature that was formerly offered for 2024. Now, one thing I want to note is that the Gas Limited for 2024 and the Hybrid Limited for 2024, for some reason, the Hybrid did not get the surround view monitor system, did get the front and rear parking sensors, but the cheaper Gas Limited got that 360 camera system, which was surprising to me and something I learned after the fact. But just note that neither vehicle now will be offering the front and rear parking sensors, which is unfortunate. So the only change that I was able to distinguish again for the Hybrid Limited is the fact that the parking sensors for the front and back are going away for 2025, which is interesting because since its debut in this current generation in, I believe, 2021, the Hybrid Limited always offered the rear parking sensors as part of its feature set. So now to not have any parking sensors is a little bit interesting, and maybe we'll discuss that here in a second why I think that might be. But it's still going to be a very well-equipped compact sedan with heated and ventilated front seats. You have highway drive assist, H-Tex interior, still well-equipped overall, but disappointing to see the parking sensors going away. In terms of colors for the Hybrid, it remains exactly a carryover with some changes to which is considered the extra cost paint color. You now do have to pay $470 for Ultimate Red if you do want that, as well as Serenity White, but the rest of the color palette is going to remain pretty much exactly the same as 2024. And it is worth noting the Limited Hybrid gets 3 different interior color choices depending on which exterior you do want, including light gray, sage gray, and black interiors, which I do have a side-by-side comparison here on the channel covering all of the different interiors for the Hyundai Elantra, all in one video. So make sure you guys check that out. I think that's an extremely helpful one if you're trying to decide which interior color might be the best fit for you. Finally, wrapping up with the pricing information for the hybrid lineup, the blue now starts at $26,250, which actually is a $1,150 decrease, which might be a worthy trade-off depending on whether or not you want those larger screens. But nice to see a substantial decrease in the entry-level price for the Elantra Hybrid Blue, as long as you're okay with those changes in technology. The SEL Sport is now $28,175. And finally, the Limited is going to be $30,600, including destination. And this is actually identical to that of a 2024 Hybrid Limited. Obviously, I think you're getting a slightly worse value with the lack of the front and rear parking sensors. But overall, nice to see that there is not a decrease on the topmost fully loaded Limited Hybrid. And finally, when it comes to the 2025 Elantra N, I believe this is actually going to be an identical carryover model, no changes in terms of its features and packaging. Interestingly enough, the feature and order guide actually specifies that it still has the front and rear parking sensors, and actually the only Elantra in the lineup to get front and rear parking sensors as of the 2025 model year. And I think pricing is going to be a carryover as well, but I'll go ahead and insert anything up on the screen if I am mistaken there, or whether or not it is identical to that of 2024. Overall, that is going to be it as far as the changes as well as the features and packaging for the upcoming 2025 model year Hyundai Elantra sedan. Some of the reasons why I think the changes were made is because probably an all-new next-generation Elantra isn't too far off in the distant future. As we know, Kia is releasing the K4 sedan and eventually the hatchback for the upcoming model year as well. So I could see a new Elantra being, maybe a 2026 model year thing within the Hyundai lineup. We haven't really seen too many rumors or heard too much about the next generation Elantra sedan. But I fully expect, I think, the Elantra to carry over for the U.S. market for the time being, at least, because I think that is still a very popular vehicle within the lineup. Still sells in good volume. And between fleet and retail side of things, I think the Elantra is definitely a vehicle Hyundai wants to keep within the market for North America in general. But overall, it is a little bit disappointing to see some of the changes that they did make in terms of features and packaging for the 2025 model year. But maybe it is something to say that maybe there's a new next generation really not too far off in the distant future. Taking a look at my opinions in terms of overall value and packaging, I think the Limited remains a standout value because it's less than $1,000 more than a convenience, which the convenience in and of itself was a fairly good value because it was, something that gave you the heated front seats, heated side mirrors, obviously the nicer looking exterior wheels and overall appearance. But now that the gap has shrunk in terms of its price point, convenience went up, limited came down, and now that there's only a $950 difference, I think as long as you're okay with the interior H-Techs and paying that slightly higher price tag, I think the limited is just the way to go within the Elantra lineup for $27,000. But again, ultimately comes down to your personal preference, what you want and need inside of a vehicle that you might drive on a daily basis. Then taking a look at the N line, I think that vehicle just year over year gets these price increases, and now it's approaching the $30,000 price point where, the Elantra N is, $35,000 or just under that. So, all things to consider when you're purchasing a new vehicle. So I think that's going to do it here for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and or found something helpful. If you did, make sure to hit that like button below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out some videos I have on the 2024 model year Elantra. I think I did every single trim level outside of the N, which I'm going to have to see if I can get a hold of that vehicle to drive and review for a week, because that is something with the revisions and changes they did make for 2024. I was actually very curious myself. I've actually not really been behind the wheel of a 2024 Elantra N. Overall, let me know what you guys think of the packaging and pricing changes down in the comment section below. Does this seem more appealing or less appealing versus 2024? Do you like those sporty styling enhancements that they are introducing for 2024 or 2025, excuse me, on the SEL Sport trim levels? Do you like that new pricing for the hybrid lineup with the base model coming down in price and then them offering that middle trim level to help bridge the gap between that and a limited? Or is there something else you wish Hyundai would have changed for 2025? Leave that all in the comment section below. As always, I appreciate continued support here on the channel. Make sure you use that Amazon affiliate link if you guys want to help support the channel at no additional cost to you, as long as you're already shopping on Amazon. And of course, you're more than welcome to become a channel member, as well as leave any super chats or anything like that. All of those are greatly appreciated. But anyways, I appreciate support and hope to see you guys in the next one.